What's going on, everybody? It's Quan the Alchemist, and today I have a very, very special guest on the channel. And you guys know for a while now, I've actually never had any guests on my show. But my good friend Armin here, who we're going to introduce in a little bit, has been posting a lot of amazing stuff. And honestly, it was too juicy for me to not share on the channel. And funny enough, he's living in Mexico right now, and I happened to come by for 2 weeks, and I was like, this is a rhyme. And when I say rhyme, I mean synchronicity for those that are understanding. This is my good friend, Armin. It's a pleasure to be here in your beautiful villa, man. I'm gonna let him explain a little bit of what he does, so that way you guys can actually understand as well. So Armin, just let them know exactly what you do and why you're here, brother.
First of all, it's an honor to be on the show and to be on your first episode. Let's have a conversation that could help many people open their minds, their hearts, their spirits, their souls. And it's quite a pleasure to be here, and hopefully I could do the best for you. And it's kind of weird. The moment you start to become more conscious of things, the less and less you identify with being something. Every time someone asks me, like, what do you do? Or, what are you? Or what's your background? There's really no answer, because the real answer is I'm all. And I'm none of it all at the same time. So logically, logistically, I own a company. That company, what it does is it works with people to start a business online and sell something they know, something they're really good at, into a sellable program. And we also work with CEOs, and I have the honor of working with a few dozen CEOs on a one-on-one basis, and developing their mind, their spirit, their intellect, their ability to understand how to problem solve and look at their business and build people and build a team, really just get their message out there and scale the company that they have. So that's kind of my full-time job when it comes to work. And but the rest of the time, and really during the work time too, I feel like I'm a healer. And that's the only way I can really say it. Healing of many things: healing of emotion, healing of mind, healing of thought, healing of life. Most people are living in life, but they're not alive. And so conversations like this could help.
I love that. I love that you said healer. For those that don't know Armin and, are new to this amazing guy right here, how'd you get to where you are right now? Like, how'd you come to this conclusion and come to this path that you're on?
Lots of pain. Many people try to avoid pain. Pain is not in the way, it is the way. Pain is the way because it's usually through those things, those paths that you really don't want to be on. The things you don't want to you're trying to avoid, the mistakes, the regrets, the failures, the defeats, the adversities, the fear. Those are the paths, because in those are the gateway into consciousness. When you're really happy with all things. You call life or success just a series of circumstances that match what you've always thought about or been conditioned to think is what right is. When you detach from all this, you start to realize success is just an idea. It's not even real. Circumstances are just ideas. If I say I'm a failure, how do I know I'm a failure? Can you reach out and grab failure? You can't reach out and grab failure. You can't reach out and grab success. So whether you have $1 million in your bank account or you have $1 in your bank account, coffee still tastes the same. So life itself, there is a very real component to it. And then there is an illusory component to it. Most people are living 99% of the time in the illusory component. Their ideas, their thoughts, the imagination of, this should be this way. Anything that should have, would have, could have, these are just imaginations. The mind is being used in ways to create walls that don't exist, so that you can somehow fit yourself into it and call yourself something. And so the way I got here is I built those walls very well. I built a company, I built a team, I made the kind of money I want to make. I achieved all the things. I beat all the odds. I proved things to my own ego. My ego was very satisfied and satiated. And you just reach a point where, for some reason, no matter how much of the idea of success you used to believe was going to make you happy, just for some reason, no matter how much more of it you have, it doesn't mean anything more. And it doesn't feel anything. So last year, I reached this point where I was sitting there, and the year prior to last year, I was in this really low place, like this bad depression. I made a few decisions that led me to that. And I made two really big ones in my life all at the same time, so I couldn't handle it. And I reached a point where I was like miserable. I have a Zoom call recording with my own mindset coach at the time I was talking to, and I looked so miserable, so depressing. And I remember last year I watched that recording a year ago, and I looked at myself. I'm like, at that time, I'd only just made $1 million. To me, I was like, I made it. I'm in heaven now. And I had like the dream relationship, dream girlfriend. I was in a dream place. I thought like everything you could ever imagine, you make up in your mind as a kid. Like, this is success. I reached it. And I sat there and I couldn't go to sleep because there's so much things bothering me. I couldn't have a moment of peace no matter what I did. That time I realized that there's no such thing as bad habits, just distractions from pain. Because I went through a place where I was like trying to like do anything I can to make myself distracted from the presence of facing the fact that I'm very miserable. Like I tried to overeat like crap. I was trying to drink. I was trying to sleep around. I was trying to watch Netflix and binge watch. Like all those kind of impulses came out of me, and I thought, I don't really want to do these things. I just thought if I do them, I'll feel better. And then I realized I have this beautiful compassion developed for people that are dealing with, struggling habits and addictions. And I'm like, addiction habits aren't actually real. They're just people in pain trying to do something to not be consciously present of what's happening. They're trying to escape this moment right now, which isn't going to exist. So I kind of went to a place to surrender. And that was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And on this call, I was looking at my mindset coach, and I was just telling her last night I couldn't sleep, and something just told me to get out of bed and get on my knees. I went into I'm not religious. I don't consider myself any of these things, but I sat down and I just went to my knees. I bowed my head and I said, God, I don't know what else to do. I'm really miserable. And I reached that point and I just cried for 3 hours. And I had this song I used to sing called Faith. And the words is like a prayer. And I started singing that like really desperately, just hoping that something will reach out and give me some type of peace or joy again. And I watched the recording, it's like 6 months ago now, at the end of last year. I was watching myself on that call. Mm-hmm. And can you imagine the nostalgia? I was sitting there, I was looking, I was with the same mindset coach. Yeah. Because I was in the same miserable place. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Yeah. So I started laughing. And she said, why are you laughing? I'm like, this has to be a joke. Like a year ago, I had all the things I thought I wanted. And I reached this terrible place where I was wrong. I'm like, fast forward a year, I have a bigger house. I had more money than I made. I have a bigger company, more clients, all the things I would think would make it better, right? And at that time, I want to make $1 million a month. That will make me feel, something. And I looked at I'm like, this has to be a joke. There's something broken here. Because if I was there last year and now I'm here again and I have 10 times more than last year, this can't be the way. But see, without the excruciating amount of pain, Quan, I would have never been led to question these things. In Napoleon Hill's book, Andrew Carnegie says to him once, now I really spiritually understand, not just mentally in my head. He goes, emergencies in life are one of the greatest experiences of life for man. Because only in the sense of emergency, when you're in desperation, does it cause you to question your own thinking. It's like, what am I doing? Why is this happening? And so that's kind of what happened last year. And that pain led me to have a full stop in everything I was doing. I was running a company full time every day, all these clients. And I was, luckily it was around holiday time, the end of December. And so in a week from now, I was supposed to go on holiday for a week. Clients didn't expect work. But I'm like, we're taking an extra week early off. I need 2 weeks to be with myself. And so this voice inside me was just saying, do nothing, be nothing, think nothing, want nothing. And I couldn't stop that feeling because I get on meetings, I'm sitting there, I wasn't there. I was just, this voice inside was like, stop everything, just stop doing, stop starting. So I kind of retired for a month. I went through this weird retirement, and all I did for hours, Quan, is I would sit down in my room and just sit there and sensitively listen to what I was feeling as much as I can to understand if there's something that gives me direction to what to do, because I wasn't happy. So I was sitting there and I would get fidgety. And then I'm like, all right, I'm meditating. I would sit down and meditate. I'm like, I can't meditate. I'm just thinking about all the things that make me unhappy. Yeah. And then I would open my eyes and I'm like, all right, let me just try to lie down. I'd lie down on the carpet. It's really soft carpet in my room. I would just lie down, or I'd fall asleep. I'd wake up again. I'm like, I should start listening to some people. So I started to listen to a podcast from a guy named, I still might be here now, Ram Dass. So I started to listen to all his podcasts. I listened to like 100 of his podcasts. And I started to listen to Sadhguru. And I started to go to like spiritual teachings. I'm like, maybe these guys know something. And honestly, I was so messed in the head. Even the things they were saying that made sense to me, I couldn't feel anything. And I'm like, okay, this is closer and closer. So I was sitting down, and after about a week of doing this, but also I gave into impulse stuff. I'm like, I want to just play some Call of Duty. I bought an Xbox because my brother loves Call of Duty. Yeah. So I'm like, something's telling me inside and just to go play Xbox. So I did. I went down for 12 hours to sit there and play. And I'm like, I would watch myself as I'm playing. I could hear a voice in my head, look at you. You're supposed to be taking a week off to do meditation and improve yourself, and you're behind, look at you. And then I would watch myself judging myself and go, look at me judging myself. And I would have these crazy experiences as I'm playing the game. And I'm like, oh, this is funny. And so I did a lot of painful things. Like I was going through pain. I was watching the pain and they were teaching me. And so eventually one day I realized, like, wow, there's no escaping this suffering. I'm playing Call of Duty, I'm judging myself. I'm sitting down doing nothing, I'm judging myself. I'm on the team meeting, I'm judging myself. I don't make enough money, I'm judging myself. Like, when do I never judge? When do I actually just become peaceful? Like, oh, this is good. And then I'm like, this is the syndrome high achievers have in business, is that you just think that you always have to be doing the next thing.
Yep.
So you never learn at all the state of just consciousness and presence and being here and saying things are good. I didn't know that you can want more even if you have enough.
Yep.
I thought I have to always be in lack in order to want more. That's why I thought, oh, I have to pretend like $3 million you made last year is not enough money. I have to make 30. In order to make 30. Now I'm sitting here and I'm like, I don't really care. We're on track to do probably 5 to 7 million this year. And I'm sitting down like, yeah. And right now I'm blissful just sitting here on this chair with you. I don't really care. So I've learned how to love what I have and love the feeling of desiring more at the same time simultaneously. But that's what happened, man. I was sitting there just silent, stillness. And this is the day it broke me through. I was sitting down and I sat again, put my back against the wall, and I sat there, and this little thing I do is I just center my eyes like this. Like I cross my eyes, I look at my nose. And I close my eyes. If you do that, you'll notice all your awareness goes within your body. You can move around and kind of feel things. If you look forward and you close your eyes, you realize all your awareness goes outside your body. It's like you feel the room, the wall, the people. So I would sit there and I would just literally spend hours practicing going back and forth. And I just, all I could do, I didn't have any desire to do anything else. So I just sit there and be like, okay. And one day I sat there so still for so long, your body eventually goes numb. I didn't itch myself. I didn't do anything. I'm sitting there and I'm just breathing. And by accident, I fell into a very light state of samadhi. And samadhi is when you essentially leave the body.
Yeah.
And so because my body was so numb, sitting there so still, and all I could do is feel my nostrils flaring a little, and just the stillness of air in and out of the nose and all the feeling in the look, I went into this very intensely present state. And I was saying, and this mantra came in my head, just out of nowhere, never read it anywhere, nothing. I just sat there and I thought to myself, the ego I am no more. Therefore fear is no more. Therefore stress is no more. Only joy and only peace. Only here, right now, nowhere else. And I was like something was talking to me. And man, I'm feeling chills right now as I say it. I felt these intense waves of energy going through the body, like I was vibrating. And I'm like, whoa, I was seeing like a vortex. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, wow. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, this is incredible. I feel the cosmos, the universe is going through my body. I'm just feeling all of it. And then I don't know where, like after 20 minutes of this, I open my eyes. I'm like, what was that? And that was like the beginning.
Yep.
Where I feel like God found me, snatched me out. But I had to create a week or two of just stillness and absolute detachment from everything, and the stopping of my identity and wanting things and goals and who I am. And I had to stop everything in order, essentially how I say it is, I opened my heart by letting go of everything. So then God came into my heart. And that was the beginning, man. Since then, it's been 4 or 5 months now. I've always been spiritual. You could say like I'm intrigued by this wisdom, but the difference is before it was in my head. Now it's in my entire body. I can feel the wisdom flowing inside and outside of my body. Every breath I take, I feel a wave of energy going through my spine at all times. Right now, I'm sitting here with you. I'm feeling this. Yesterday morning, I'm feeling this. When I'm walking, I'm feeling this. In the middle of an entire party, we'll be at a club. My friends are dancing, and I'm sitting there like this, and I'm like, it just rushes of energy going through my body. And so I feel like I've been giving something. I still don't understand it, but every day I'm sitting down like, what do I do with this energy? Because I know it's energy. So I've been trying to heal people and heal myself, and it's been working. It's been beautiful. But that's how it happened, man. Pain was the doorway into presence.
Life is delicious. Life is delicious. Life is delicious. Man, you know, what you were just talking about there, through meditation, through prayer, through sitting still, being able to tap into that. You know, there's so many names for that. Samadhi, you know, the quantum, the ether, infinite intelligence. When you're soaking in that juice, you know, that delicious juice, and you're sitting there. I used to call it meditative orgasms, because that's literally how it feels. It's literally how it feels, because in there, it feels even more real than out here, right? But before we dive into that a little bit later, I want to go back to what you were saying about pain, because I feel like nowadays there's such a misconception about pain. Of course, pain brings us, you know, pain brought you to where you are here. But let's just say there are some people out there going through significant pain right now. I want to touch on what you're saying about letting go and surrendering, because that's when everything kind of like start channeling the pain to a different place, right? And I feel like this is going to be very important for most people who are going through pain, because I feel like most people who go through pain do not know how to channel it. So And I look at it, sometimes we're going through pain. It's like you're holding on to a rope and you're holding so freaking hard and life's just like, let go, right? And then like you burn your hands and most people just, they don't know how to let go. So my question to you is, how did you let go? How did you surrender to actually enter into the, let's just say, the stage of healing?
By realizing there was no other option. And there never has been. Control is an illusion. I'll give you an analogy. Right now you're sitting here. Your heart is beating. Are you telling it to beat? Now, if you ever want it to stop, can you sit there and tell it to stop beating? Or is it going to beat without your consent? With or without consent, or any control, heart is beating. Now, if this heart stops beating, what happens to you? You die. Most people will be very terrified to even ponder on the idea. For me, it's very peaceful to accept the idea that the very thing that's keeping me alive, I can't even do anything about. Your lungs are breathing. If you stop breathing, what happens? You die. Any one of your organs stop working, you die. If your body just decides quadriplegic, you just stop moving, you can't move. None of these things you can change. None of them you're doing. You're not steering the wheel on these. You go, what is? See the creator, the source of all creation, the very magic, the thing that is at the center point of all things happening that are alive. That is the thing in control of this. So you go, how much control do I really have? See, the only area where you actually feel like you have some control is in the imagination, in your life situation, which is not the same as your life. You're sitting down and you go, no, I make money because I work. You go, okay, so you have control of your income. At any moment, can you get fired? Of course. At any moment, could something happen to you where the thing that you're being paid for is taken from you, so you can't be paid for that anymore? If I'm, a teacher and I cannot read anymore because I lose eyesight, can I read? No. Can I find another way? Sure. You see, that's our job. So the fastest way to understand how to let go is by realizing you're not actually holding on to anything. It's not real, man. It's not real.
It's all in there.
You're sitting down and you go, okay, the very thing keeping me alive, I'm not doing anything about. So how much of this life am I doing anything about? It is just the ego's illusion, the game it plays with you, that you are doing all of it. If you look at the story of God and, Lucifer and Satan, there's a metaphorical lesson to it. There's this idea that there's a source creator, infinite intelligence, and it is all good. Because doesn't mean good versus bad. It doesn't mean evil and light. It doesn't mean this. Movies have made us believe, and the way people teach it has made us believe there's some rivalry between good and bad. Everything is God. Good and bad is both God. Now, some people might not like this idea. Just hear me out. So if everything is good, what the real meaning of good means is perfection. If you read the Bible, I started to read the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, and the Bible all at the same time, just so I can start to learn more deeply in the wisdom in my head, the thing I was feeling in my body, because in my body I was feeling God. I was feeling all of the love in the cosmos going through my body, so I said, there's something I need to learn about this. So I was reading from the prophets. I'm not a religious man, but I was reading these things. I even did Ramadan for half the time, just so I could say, how did Prophet Muhammad, blessed be his name, they say, how did he speak to God? Because all of them spoke to God. Jesus, obviously one of the most famous ones, he achieved a very central point state of the truth of all things. So I was reading this, and I'm like, there's a metaphor to this. There is. Whether real or not real, it doesn't matter to me. I don't want to debate this. Just what's the lesson? I shot there, I said, and God is all things. And if you read in the Bible, it says he created the heavens below and the heavens above. It says first he created earth, then he created the expanse. Literally says expanse. In the expanse, he called the kingdom of heaven. I said, oh, what does expanse sound like to you? If below is earth and above is the universe, the galaxies, beyond the atmosphere. Have you ever wondered why your body cannot go beyond the atmosphere without dying? Because it can't breathe. Because the physical body is not supposed to go beyond the atmosphere. He created a dome where only humans can exist. Doesn't mean we shouldn't be going out there and exploring, but I do think there is a border there for a reason. Beyond the expanse, beyond the earth is the expanse. And in the expanse is the universe. When you look at he said he separated the waters below from the waters above. People go, oh, this means the higher water lower. No. There's seas in the oceans, and then there's the Milky Ways of the universe. So the kingdom of heaven is parallel to the earth. And they all say, thy kingdom come, thy will be one, as earth as it is in heaven. What is it trying to say? All this is pointing to one idea. If God is good, and good is, if you look at it if God is all of the universe, including the earth, but that is the separation between us and God, meaning he created us to be an individual consciousness instead of a omniscient consciousness, which is everything and all things. We are allowed to be in one body and one mind and look at you and look at me. I can do this separation between us. That's a whole nother conversation. But what he's saying is that the universe is governing by one law, and they call that law good. Moses, Elijah, Jesus, call it good. Good means then what? What is the entire universe running on? One law. If it's anything, it has to be harmony. That there's no one planet that kills the other planet. No anything is in dysfunction. Everything's functioning perfectly. So good has to mean function. It has to mean perfection. It means harmony. So now I go there and say, if God is all good, then what is the idea of a Satan, of a Lucifer? So if you just look at the story of God and Lucifer and him giving him a timeout, he was just saying that the child turned around and looked at the parent and said, I created you. So he looked and said, I must be more good than God, which is a fundamental error to what you would call harmony and perfection. That's why we called him bad. Now, there's no such thing as bad. There's only good and not good. Only light and not light. It's just we call these things, we've given an identity, so we can be very afraid. I guess you would say some humans want to control other humans by making an idea that there is darkness. But if you're very conscious, you realize there's just God, and then there's not God. And even in the absence of God, God is there. Because how else would it be there? And so when he created the idea of the story of Lucifer, so we say, okay, the ego then, if you sit down long enough, you start to believe and attach yourself to what you have and think it's because of you you have this. I have these muscles because I went to the gym. Did you? Tell me. You lifted the weight. Did you sit there and tear up every single cell in there and rebuild it again? Again, the body is doing this for you. Almost everything in your life is being done for you. And that way you can almost say you do not deserve it. Now, if you don't deserve something, you could truly be grateful for it. See, if you're entitled to it, it's very hard to be grateful. If you have a relationship and you tell the person, you should wake up every morning and tell me I'm beautiful, and you won't feel the gratitude of feeling the comments of I'm beautiful. Let's say you wake up, you don't really think of yourself at all, but this person wakes up out of their own heart, they say you're beautiful. You'll go 100 miles more because I don't deserve this compliment. That's why I love it so much. In this way, I look at my life, I go, I don't deserve my life. I did not choose my life. I'm not running my life, nor do I end my life. And this way, my life is not even mine. This is why I have a very beautiful relationship with my God. And I say, my God, our God, and God itself, the source of creation. I have a very good relationship because I go every day. I did not choose to wake up today, you did. I don't deserve this. That's why it's yours. So I appreciate you giving it to me for a short period of time like a lease. I'll do my best to experience it for you because through me you're experiencing life, God. So in this way you look at this, Lucifer, and you go, the ego is just this. If you wait long enough, you start to think yourself into, I am the creator of all of this. Now, I know you want us to talk about manifestation today, so I said I hope you're open because we're going to talk about what it really is, at the source of it. There's nothing wrong with the perceptions of it, but there is a source truth to it, just like gravity is gravity, whether we like it or not, or like, argue about it. In this way, you look at this. Even when Adam and Eve ate the apple, what did? Did they get punished? You know, I read the Bible. See, I was saying that I was feeling God inside of me. If you want to truly read Scripture, you have to do two things. One, you have to be extremely conscious and present in that moment. You cannot be someone else. You cannot be thinking with intellect, because intellect is not where God lives. Intellect is in the mind. Intellect and thought cannot reach where God lives. God is living in this moment right now, only now with all of existence. So I sat there and I'm absolutely present. I'm looking at this book, I'm feeling the room, and I'm reading these words, and I'm saying these words have to transmute into a feeling inside me, or else I'm not really learning them. Mm-hmm. So as I'm feeling this out, I start to read that, Adam ate the thing, and so God started to punish everyone. You're going to suffer for 9 months at birth. You're going to kill each other. I started reading this. I'm like, this isn't God. Now, a lot of people will probably hang me for this. I'm saying the scriptures that are written in this Bible are not written as God. I'm not saying this at all. I'm saying maybe, perhaps, we have misinterpreted this. Is it that he wanted to punish, or did he say, listen, hear me out for a moment? Did he sit there? We have a kind of creator that has made the beauty of nature. You walk out, you go, this same creator has made punishment for us. What if just that he's not punishing? A woman has to go through pain for birth, and a man has ability to kill each other and his own brother, like the Cain, the lineage of Cain. Mm-hmm. What if he's just saying, now that you have bitten from this tree, you have the power of what's called free will. It means you have your own individual right to think and believe and choose whatever you want. The same way I can, or the same way only humans can. Even God can't do this. Even God can't sit down and go, today I want to be a tree, because he's already the tree. He can't wake up and say, I want to be bat. He's already the bat too. He's all of it. In the nature, when it's in the essence of this, if you're all of everything, can you really choose to be one of it? or else the entire universe would collapse if he decides that one corner of the universe he doesn't want to be anymore. So only humans can decide what side to be on, which is why the actual duality was created, because free will was given to us. So the metaphorical story is very simple. We ate through this apple. Now we have our own individual free will and consciousness to choose things. He says, because of that, because you have walked out of goodness, the perfection, the harmony of all things, meaning you are a direct reflection, mirror reflection of made in my image, which is the universe. When you read the Bible, it even says, let's make man in our image. Did he say my image? Very interesting to me, I caught that. He said our image. Who's our? Who's us? Us is the ever majestic essence of the universe. So, have you ever looked into scientific, there's these reels, you see out there, shorts now, these TikToks, they look at your blood, it looks just like the Milky Way. They look at your heart, and it looks like a star in the sky.
Yeah.
But wow, the galaxies are a mirror reflection of the human body. So, does it not make a lot of sense, even if we use our intellect, scientifically we've even proven this, that the entire universe is a reflection of our own body? So was he not saying that he made man in the image of the universe, which is what he is, beyond the atmosphere is where his domain is, because all things are good. Nothing has an individual right to decide if I doesn't want to be good. Only on earth this kind of shit happens. So what happened is he said, now that you can think beyond me, you will experience all of it, good and bad, because in order for you to have choice, you need to have options, and options creates duality, good and not good. So can a woman go through birth without any pain? Yes. If she is absolutely one with all things, she's going to be the pain when it happens and not realize it's painful. But the moment you eat this apple, what happens? She's now conscious, oh, I like something or I don't like something. I don't like the feeling of pain. Now it's painful. So this is all he's saying. He's not saying, I'm punishing you for this. He's saying, because now you have your own individual free will, you will understand the feeling of what is not harmonious as well. With the body, you will feel pain. You will understand what it means to be so angry you'll kill another man. And then remorse over this. My point is this. Here, say, how do we surrender? I'm going back to the source of biblical teachings. Very simple, just get to the same point. The only thing that you think you have control of, that you're trying to figure out how to let go, is not you. It's just the ego. And you must realize ego is a shitty master, but an amazing servant. In this way, most people are living under the mastery of their egos. Ego is telling them what they are, what makes them happy, what life is about, what they should be like, how the kids should treat them, how others should be like, what they should look like. They are allowing the ego to live their life, not themselves. Because you have to remind the ego, I am your master. You serve me. Ego is very important in life when you want to achieve things. Because if you want something, you need to have some type of ego to believe in yourself to go get it. You have to have some type of discernment and intelligence to know, I am here, I want there to be there. This is an egotistical idea. That here and there is different. God consciousness is here and there doesn't exist. There's only right here all the time. And there is right here too, because even in this right now, I'm looking at over there. I know right now that coffee mug over there is here with me, because the only way it's here, it can be there, is if my eyes here is looking at that. So all things like a vacuum is coming into this center point of this now. So you let go by realizing you never were holding on.
I think the world, the way everything is right now, people forget that the ego is a whole separate thing. They think, I'm going through all this pain, or I hate this, I hate that. They believe that it's dumb, right? But now let's just say let's just say somebody's listening to this and they just realize that their ego is their full master and they're not in control anymore. How does one switch that around and start learning how to become the master of the ego versus the other way around?
Meditation. And I don't want to even say meditation. I think it's become a fad, unfortunately. Most people see the intellect, even more specifically the intellect, not even the ego. The ego is the sense of I am in charge here. Intellect is just thinking with the head and not thinking through the feelings. Intellect can't be present. Intellect is an organization of past, future, and ideas, all of which are not in this present moment. So there's an intelligence called infinite intelligence that you are yourself, that you have access to through the mind, if you have a no-thought mind. Because a no-thought mind is operating beyond intellect. It is operating at a consciousness level where you're just using awareness and presence. And because awareness and presence only exist in this now, where all of life is existing, that's actually the only true intelligence that can give you, peace in life. And so when you dwell out of this moment, you go into the past, future, and ideas in your head. You're thinking with that, it's hard to actually have any peace right now. It doesn't mean you're going to be unpeaceful if you go there. It just means it's very easy to start losing sense of the thing, the very true essence of goodness and righteousness, which is alignment and harmony with the universe that you are. So you're sitting there and you go, okay, if I need to get into this, I don't want to say meditation. Most of the intellects has taken meditation and made it an idea, not a remembering that is truly what I am. And that's kind of my goal is, it's not even my goal. Really, I didn't really choose this path, man. At this point, I just wait for instructions inside me and I go do. And so one of those instructions is to help humanity remember. Bring consciousness back to them. They don't need to be taught what they already are. You do need to learn intellect. But to be who you really are, what you really are, which is not the mind, not the body, not your thoughts, not your name. None of these things are you, not even your senses. You are the thing that is not that. So you are not. That's what you are.
Wow.
The center of it all. So in this way, I'm not saying that meditation is the answer, rather stillness is. I don't even care how you do it. Whether you sit there like this, or you're in the middle of a party and you just close your eyes and you feel the music, or you're just sitting there and you look at a leaf. It doesn't matter. It's just stillness that actually helps you create the gap and separation between you and ego. Like I said in my story, when I was sitting there for so many hours, eventually I realized there is an entity of its own made up in my imagination that I have kept thinking is me. And suddenly I was free of it. I was liberated. And I looked at it and I said, wow, I'm not Armin. I'm not that guy. I'm not this millionaire. I'm not this business owner. I'm not a son. I'm not, a brother. That's really freeing to know. Because all those things come with an identity and expectations and things you have to do to keep up with the image. I said, so what am I? And the stillness you learn, you're none of it. That's what you are. You are the source of all of it. So if you just sit down, cross your eyes, you look at your nose, you breathe. There's no you can do a lot of things. There's breath work. I don't really do much. I do it sometimes. I don't need it. You could do psychedelics. Psychedelics will be a quick shortcut to you jumping into a very intense experience where you realize, I really am not this body. In that sense as well. But none of these things are the actual paths. See, life is the psychedelic. This present moment is the psychedelic. In this moment right now, there is no other moment, no other place, but right now and right here. When you become all of you is right here, you'll feel more than what a psychedelic can do to you, more than a drug can do to you, more than medicine could do to you, more than even sitting down in meditation could do to you. I believe, there are spiritual teachers, they'll sit down and meditate all day, or they live in the jungles, they never, participate with life. I say no. At least for me, the instruction was given very simple. I went all the way left wing to that side, and I said, okay, there's a whole world beyond attachment and the illusions of success. And then I came all the way back here, and I said, I thought God's going to tell me, go to India and start walking around barefoot healing people. I thought, honestly, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for this, God, whatever you need. Because clearly I just realized my life is not mine, my success is not mine, even my name is not mine. So whatever I am, I'm yours. Whatever you need, let me know. Very few people in the history of humanity decide to actually sign up for this kind of commitment. We call them people prophets. In that way, not everyone's path is supposed to be this. The rest of the world is supposed to enjoy their life and enjoy the unconsciousness and the sin and enjoy failure and coming back from it. And it's not my path. I walked it straight to come to this point where I realized, I need to realize I've been given the instruction and teach the people living in the chaos how to have stillness, not to be in a jungle somewhere. And I sat there and I said, okay, how are we going to do this? Very simple. I'm here to give you one message. The access into what is real, which is this moment right now, is through your 5 senses. You can taste your mouth. You can see with your eyes. You can hear with your ears. You can touch with your skin, and you can feel with your emotions. Not your emotions. It's really just like the receptor. Even emotion is an idea. There's another thing I realized. Another conversation. Yeah. So you can do these 5 things. If you could do all these 5 things. And then there's a 6th sense as well, which is the intuitiveness of, feeling gut things, not just feeling something. I could feel like love. That's not the same thing as feeling.
Yeah.
So these 5 senses is how you practice being here. So the world is not going to change if we teach everyone to meditate every day. This can't be possible. I'm a businessman before I became this person.
Mm-hmm.
So my mind automatically started to think, all right, God needs my help. He wants to figure out what's the formula for this. The algorithm is very simple. What would scale? Business taught me this.
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing that would scale in the whole world is something that everyone could do that they already probably do every day without changing anything they're doing. So what could be like this? If we have to teach everyone to meditate, the world will never become peaceful because no one's ever going to always meditate.
Mm-hmm.
If we have to get everyone to believe only one thing, so Muslims have to start believing in Christian has to believe in Buddhist, it's not going to work. They are way too deeply in love and committed to what they believe. So we can't make everyone believe one thing. So I say, so what is it? Should everyone just completely let go of idea of success and doing things and achievement and let go of ego? So they can't because they live with this ego and the ego is necessary. So I started sitting there. I'm like, I can't figure this out. God, you give me the answer and I'll be your vessel. Answer came inside me. The one thing that the entire world could do simultaneously without ever changing anything about who they are, what they think, and without having to make each other right or wrong is consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Simply, if the Muslim could be fully conscious as he's praying, as he's avoiding to eat pork, as he's doing Ramadan, and the Christian could be extremely conscious as they're singing in their churches, as they're teaching people about Jesus, it doesn't matter. What matters is, are we conscious? Then you realize sin is not the problem. In fact, sin does not exist. Sin is just another word for unconsciousness. And that way, punishment isn't necessary. See, when we start to violate each other's rights because we feel justified that you've done something wrong, this is the only true sin, if you were to call something sin, is ripping away another soul's right to do something or be something or have their own freedom. This would, if imagine for a moment, this whole world would change if everyone was just conscious. Meaning in the sense, they remember that they are not all of these things. Then they could keep being these things without the illusion of I am this thing. And they can watch their life like a movie screen, which is what, if I were to give you an analogy, the closest version of the definition of what being conscious and living consciously is in spirit, is that you are a soul sitting in a movie theater watching this human's life called Armin on the screen, and it's going to go through good times and bad times. And just like any movie, if the scary part comes, you don't start to freak out and get hyperventilation. You don't go to a doctor after a therapist. I saw this bad scene in a movie. You don't do that because you know what?
It's not real.
It's not real. It's just a movie. In this way, I'm living. I wake up in the day, I see Armin went through something. Oh, someone says something. Armin pissed someone off. Someone doesn't like Armin right now. Oh, interesting. Look at this. That's part of it. Armin loses everything. You go, oh, this makes for a good plot. Good story. How's he going to turn around? I'm so detached from all of this that now I'm able to be fully involved with all of it. So, we have to remember.
Now, there's such a beauty of detaching, with everything you're saying, the beauty of detaching, understanding that I am not who I think I am everything. But let's just say, because there's always this talk about ego, right? Ego, is it healthy? Is it good? Am I that? Yada, yada, right? But now let's just say you're somebody who is in a very difficult place, and for them to detach and surrender is very difficult because to a certain degree, they have to, let's just say, believe that they are, let's just say, they want to create a business. They have to believe that they are this business owner in order to get to where they want to be. What's your opinion about belief? Like, is believing in something ego as well? Like, where is the line, or let's just say, where's the balance that you feel like you need to have in order to, let's just say, acquire success or love or health, whatever it may be, acquiring whatever you want in your life? Where does that come into play?
See, all we're asking is, how can I do all these things I want to do with the ego without feeling like I'm doing something wrong? Because it takes ego, right, to show up to a team meeting and direct it and command. It takes ego to cut a person off if they're not being good for you. It takes ego to be able to fire someone if they're not good enough. It takes ego to get yourself to realize, I'm not there yet, I want to be there. I'm just saying this. Detachment is not the answer. First, you realize none of it is real. You have to remember this. Genuinely, this is not an opinion. Anyone watching this, if they just sit in stillness for a little while, they'll feel the separation, even if it's slight, between what they are and all of the things that they're talking about. Then you go, how can I then walk back into this movie and enjoy it? So essentially, how do we live a life and build something very beautiful and get all the things we want and enjoy the things we get, not just get what we want, but want what we get? How do we do this? 1, master, you need to be. Ego needs to be the servant. The moment you start to switch the tables on this, because you get caught up in the thoughts and the ideas like, well, it's because of me. Well, I'm this great. Essentially looking back and saying, I made you to your mom. Any foolishness like this will start to take you further and further away from consciousness. Because it's a very unconscious thing to do, to say that, to truly believe that if you say it. So you have to only be unconscious to be saying something like this. So unconscious because you're so convinced, and convictions itself are the trap. I remember I heard Sadhguru say this 4 or 5 years ago. I was in a very bad depression at the time. And I just started working out. That's the only way I got out of it. And I would go on a treadmill for an hour and close my eyes and hold on to the treadmill, walk like this, uphill, maximum speed, just like this, and walk. And I listen to Sadhguru. I did this for an hour and I learned a lot. First of all, if you're learning why your heart rate is increased, you pick up 100 times more and you actually open up the sixth sense, God can speak to you. So I would get the crazy downloads on the treadmill, like, oh, I'd write them down. One time I remember him saying this, that beliefs and convictions, someone was asking this, how can I be believed about something and convinced about something? He goes, see, your beliefs are the trap. And I said, no, because at the time I was a student of thinking commercial, like, everything's about belief. You got to tell it yourself. You got to be convinced. Whoever's the most certain is the one who's going to win. The leader with the biggest vision is going to be the one to lead here. I was convinced. At the time, I get okay. Sadhguru is really nice for some things. Some of these things, I'll put my spin on it. Again, this is ego. Now I fast forward today. I understand. See, conviction is just the idea that you think something. That's your thing. And you think this is above the truth. This is above laws of nature. Which is this, that you're none of it. And so you start to want to, in your own sense, and in this way, we're all kind of Satan running around. The idea of what Satan was is trying to create our own world. I'm better. And so you have to say, are we all just Satan running around, or are we all just God running around? So what if we're just all of it? Even this morning, my mom was upset with me about something. You know, we posted some things, and we shared things about my story, my upbringing. She was very offended. Oh, this is bad. We shouldn't say this about our family. I remember I was talking to her. I said, Mom, she's like, sometimes, she's like, you're so peaceful all the time and so loving and you love, and then sometimes it feels like shit, the devil just gets in you. And my mom, the devil is God too. I said, Mom, there's a little devil on all of us. I shouldn't do it with my arrogance. I was ego, because my ego was flared up because of her, because I know what she was trying to tell me. She was trying to, share her own insecurities about our past. She said, I don't want you to say this to my mom. It's not about us. It's about the story. People like the story. No one likes the story. Oh, yeah, I grew up. It was pretty average, comfortable life, and then I became a millionaire. No one likes the story. They like the one. I grew up in a poor immigrant family. And I did. We really did. And then we also got out of it. My dad was hardworking. She was trying to convince me that, we're not bad. I'm like, Mom, I never said you're bad. I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm just merely saying what happened. That's all. So I'm saying sometimes like this happens. Ego flares up. When it comes to this, though, it's very simple. See, we have to understand, especially if we want to build a life, you need an ego. If you completely get rid of ego, which in my retirement, I was absolutely absent of ego. Genuinely. I was sitting there, my ego was like a tiny pebble just sitting on the side of my mind. I would go out to dinner with my brother came to visit me or my friends, and we got to dinner and they'd be like, so what are you going to do next week? I'm like, I don't know, I'm here. They'd be like, how was your last week? I'm like, it doesn't exist anymore. And they would say, oh my God, we can't talk to Armin. Yeah, he doesn't want to talk about anything right now. I'm like, well, talk to me about something right now. Like, this hot sauce is really good. And we could enjoy the taste and feel, oh, this is so nice. He goes, you can't talk to Armin about anything. I'm like, I can talk to you. I just don't want to talk about things that don't matter anymore and don't exist. Because they don't. What tomorrow is, what we're going to do after this, none of that exists. All of this thinking you're doing that takes you out of this moment is cheating you from this moment. Only right now can you be sitting down with me at this table, waiting for this food to come. Enjoy the desire of the food coming. Enjoy the sittingness of this coming. Enjoy what the restaurant looks like. Enjoy me here. But we're already thinking about what happens next. What happened before? What's going to happen next year? What's the point of this? At what point then are you living? If I give you a movie ticket and you go, oh my God, I want to watch this movie. You go, you're anticipating the movie and you think about the movie and how the movie's going to be. But the whole time you're driving there, you're thinking about the movie. You get in line, you're thinking about the movie. You get the popcorn, you're thinking about the movie. You get into line, you're thinking about the movie. You go and get your seat, you're thinking about the movie. Previews are playing, you're thinking about the movie. As soon as the movie starts, you're thinking about where are we going to go after this? And then you start seeing the movie, be like, I wonder how it's going to end. See, you're not watching the scene, you're watching how is this going to end? And then you're sitting there, I gotta go to the washroom, you come back, you're watching the movie, but you're not watching the movie. You're thinking about, okay, next movie was gonna be after this. Oh man, I gotta respond to this person. You check your phone, then the movie ends. You turn around, everyone's like, that was such a great movie. You go, oh, you didn't watch it. Everyone's like, it was a good movie. So you go, oh, everyone's saying it's a good movie. It was a good movie. I was so good. Because a few times I remember watching for real, for a moment I was present. And then you leave the movie. You never watched the movie. All you thought about was the movie. And when you got to the movie, you're thinking about something else other than the movie. This is how people live their life. At what point then are you living your life? If you're not here, right now where life is happening. If you're always planning tomorrow, planning yesterday. So there was a good portion of time I was like this, absolutely no ego. And I would wake up and I'm like, whatever the sensitivity in my body is telling me I want, I go do. And if it's not the wants, I sit there with it. So I'd eat whatever I want, I'd do whatever I want, I'd sleep whenever I want, everything. It was like the opposite of Armin, because Armin was high performance before this. My brother would come, everyone was so annoyed with me, but they loved it. Because we sit down, I'd be eating the food and they're talking, I'm just like chewing. Like chewing this food. I'm like, have you ever just tasted food? Texture in the mouth?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever just sat there and imagined with, just bring your awareness to the food going down your throat and into the stomach with it. This is one of the highest forms of meditation. All 5 senses are activated. That's how I live for a while. Then suddenly one day I go to a team meeting again, I'm watching them all work. Blissed out. They're all like, Armin, what do you think? I'm like, whatever you think is going to work. They say, oh, what are you going to do? Whatever you need me to do. And little by little, my business pulled me back in. My life pulled me back in. The life situation, my friends, my family. And then since I was in this very intense state of now, I was able to enjoy those things even in this now.
Mm.
So even I'm saying the future and the goals and the ego, I invited it to my home of now.
Yep.
So I didn't go into my plans. I brought my plans into this now.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you do that, ego? How do I do this? This is the answer for the question now. Then how do I live in bliss all the time and present? If I want to live a life, I got to plan things, and the intellect saying this. Okay, listen, very carefully. It's pretty simple. I'm not saying don't plan things. Planning is a part of presence too. See, if I'm sitting here and I want a cup of tea, I know right now the only thing real is that there's a sensation inside me called desire that wants a tea. Now, if I really want to go do this thing, if I sat here and just felt it the whole time, will it show up in me? No, it won't show up in part of me. So there's a component to living that is creation. You would say manifesting.
Yeah.
That requires an action. It requires a marriage between this present moment and feelings and action.
Yep.
So if I'm sitting here, I'm making a very complex analogy if I'm drinking tea.
Yeah.
But it's a very simple thing. I just want to explain in deep so people go, oh, I didn't think of it this way. If I now want this so much, the desire is so upbringing in me, I go, so isn't it just as beautiful to be able to get up and use energy and effort to walk over to the kitchen now, grab the tea, make the tea? Now, all of it is still drinking the tea. The moment I wanted the tea, I'm drinking it. Not that I'm saying I have to imagine I have the thing. No, I'm saying right now, isn't the desire to want to drink tea a part of the timeline of drinking tea? At one point before you had something, didn't you want the thing? Does that mean both things are a part of having the thing? Because having it, a part of having it, is inclusive to wanting it first and also to remembering it after. All of it, though, is happening now all the time. So I could sit here and in this present moment, I'm thinking of tea. You go, maybe that's my goals in life. I go, no, I want to get up and start walking towards the kitchen to make the tea. That's also a part of my present. As long as I'm focused on my awareness as I'm walking towards it right now. Not, oh, I want the tea still. Because now I'm walking mindlessly. I'm walking towards it. I'm taking action towards it, but I'm mindless. I'm not present because I'm thinking about the having it, not the process towards getting it. So if you have goals and plans and futures in your life, just be more present, 100% present to the process of going towards getting this, in order to enjoy the process in getting the thing, and not just mindlessly doing all of it every day, hard work, discipline. I got to force myself just so one day you have a moment where you have it and you go, oh, 10 minutes later, you don't care anymore. This is what we're talking about when you get depression after high forms of achievement, because you didn't marry the process, you married the outcome.
Yeah.
But life is in the process all the time. There is no outcome to life. Presence doesn't have an outcome. Presence in consciousness doesn't have any endpoint. Life itself is an everlasting thing forever and ever. Even death is a transition towards your consciousness into something else. So that means we need to become a world that is more living with the consciousness of processes and less with the outcomes of them, which is extremely hard for an entrepreneur to think like.
Oh, 100%. That's the beauty of the polarity, right? It's about putting them together, because there's always going to be a little bit of that. You were saying, we were talking about the belief, ego, that conviction, and then you got the detachment at the same time. And I want to share with you actually an amazing analogy that I heard the other day.
Love analogy.
It's like, when you're at the hospital, you got your finger on the thing and your heart's beeping, boop, boop. It's going up, down, right? And that's, they were talking about how I forgot which podcast I heard this on, but it's the polarity. It's going up and down. But what happens when there is no polarity? What happens when you just flatline like that, right in the middle? You're dead. You're not really living, are you? Now, my next question for you is, I know for anybody who knows Armin, he's really, really deep into Think and Grow Rich, a great student of Think and Grow Rich. And for anybody who loves Think and Grow Rich and Napoleon Hill's work on my channel, this guy is the embodiment of many things that they teach inside of the book. And not to say that that's who you are. We were just talking a lot about the ego and detachment there, but like, what principles of Think and Grow Rich has truly changed your life and where you are now?
See, there's one component to what Napoleon teaches that I finally understand was the core secret to all of it, and what I'm actually living today, that I can't say I was living before, but I was practicing the entire embodiment of the philosophy without the consciousness of knowing the meaning of it. There is a story he teaches in Outwitting the Devil about how he lost everything for a year. He was living out in the mountains by his brother's place, and because he thought someone was out to kill him. So for a whole year, everything he had built in success prior to that just crumbled because all of his sanity, his mental chemistry was messed up. It was like his mind was just upside down because he was just always in fear. In this story, he talks about how he meets something called his other self. You know that one? He says that there is an other self he meets. And he met him, and it was like a voice inside very clearly telling him what to do, giving him instructions. Sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Only now do I really realize I am actually doing what Napoleon was trying to teach. It happened through the same vessel of which happened to him. A very, very bad adversity. That's what I'm saying, pain is the way. So now I'm living not alone. Sometimes people ask me, you live in this really big villa. Are you alone? Do you get lonely? I say loneliness and being alone are two different things. Being lonely is this idea, this attachment to wanting someone there, so in the absence of it, you feel lonely, you miss everything, or you feel very sad. Aloneness is a physical state. I'm sitting here, no one is around me. And my answer to that is always, I'm never alone. So how can I ever be lonely? When you meet your other self, and what the name is for what I'm calling it now, because in the book 100 years ago, he wrote it, other self, he didn't want to get, put in a mental hospital at that time. This is very odd kind of speaking. It's just your soul. It is the you that is not any of these things he meant. And that you is the source of your existence. So now I'm living in this. Now all the principles he talks about, I can see the consciousness and spirit in them. It's not a tactic for me to get money. I look at it and I go, he says, go the extra mile. Why? Not because it's a tactical move to position yourself to do more for others so they owe you. See, anyone who does it this way, they won't actually get what the outcome of TGR is. He's simply saying, if you become a type of person where you don't see yourself as different than others, and you realize that you and me, I'm the same, you're the same, we're all the same soul, source of existence, the same, we're just different bodies. Wouldn't you want to do more for yourself? Wouldn't you want to go above and beyond and give out of love? Because it's the right thing to do. So you are enacting, you're embodying the laws of the universe and the kingdoms of the heavens, which is the harmony and the goodness that runs all of existence. To be a person who always goes the extra mile means to be what you're really meant to be as a human, not to be successful. To have a definite purpose in life. This is the mechanics of the mind. If the mind has nothing to do, it will sit there and just like trash, like a river, just run ideas to your mind, all this. It is your job in your consciousness of this body, this individual consciousness of the human being you are, to give a direction to something. Because if you don't, it will just pick up anything from the environment and start to tell you what's happening. This is only saying by having a definite purpose in life. It doesn't matter when you want something, how much you want, or what you're going to do. None of this matters. He's just saying, simply, if you live a life with no actual purpose in your life, and he really says this, he doesn't say goals. He says a definite major purpose, a worthwhile goal to go towards, meaning your life itself should have some purpose in it for you. Not just, I want something by the end of this year. And this is the way I used to do it. Meaning that you see yourself as a person, that in this life I'm a part of a worthwhile cause that I'm going to be contributing to. You would say this is a form of, I want to change the world, like a mission in some sense. Maybe you should build the greatest company that changes water and clears it for people in third world countries. See, this is a worthwhile, lifelong goal to have. So when you have that, you are the highest form of consciousness because your life itself becomes a form of devotional service. Not just a series of actions you take so you can selfishly have some interesting things to do for yourself. And this is what transcending is. Beyond the attachments of the ego, it's not that you don't have ego or don't attach. It's so you can do all of those things without ever being involved or caught up in thinking that you aren't them. And so all of the principles is made me who I am. It is the part of the mental, intellectual constructs that brought me into this moment right now. But now I see the spirit in them. And the spirit in them is simple. It's not a strategy. He was just trying to merely teach us what it means to be human. So you should follow these principles. It means to be human. And a few extra principles, for what the world needs, like budgeting time and money. But see, masterminding even, very spiritual law he teaches inside of the books. Because mastermind is not just about me, two or more people coming together in perfect harmony creates a third mind. See, mastermind is a law of nature. It is existing in the very essence of everything. If I want water, I put 2 hydrogen, put 1 oxygen together, what happens? Gives me water. If I want to create anything in life, the chemistry of life, like an alchemist, you have to create masterminding of different chemicals and components. He's just explaining to you how that law of nature, a truth that goes through existence, also is built inside of the minds of man and woman.
Mm-hmm.
And inside the minds of human, they can create the same chemistry that water is made from oxygen and hydrogen. They could do between 2 minds and create a third mind and create something that's not even possible physically, which is access to the ether, where all of things are coming from, and direct source to infinite intelligence. So he's teaching you laws of nature. He's not teaching you laws of success. Even though all of it is about success. You know what's really ironic about Napoleon Quan? He wrote books for about 20, 30, 40 years. First book he ever wrote was Law of Success. And then the abbreviated version was Think and Grow Rich. The last book he ever wrote was called Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. You can see the evolution of the man from a young man to a wise old man. What happened? He went from Think and Grow Rich to Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. Last book he ever read in his 80s before he died. If you read that book, it goes real woo. There's a part in it where he's saying he's sitting in the hospital and he hears a voice from the Himalayan mountains, from the school of masters talk to him. You should go read that part. I'm sitting there, I'm reading, so what the hell is this about? I'm like, what is he talking about hearing voices? He was saying that the school of masters, masters of the arts, something like that. I'm like, what is this, Marvel? Yeah. This is Doctor Strange messaging you. But honestly, he's talking like this. He goes, I heard a voice. He says, we are from the mountains. I don't know if it's Himalayan mountains or something, but he's, and we have told you, you have to write one last book before you die. You have to write this book, Grow Rich with Peace of Mind. And he's like, this is how he was instructing. So incredible. So you look at this man, he goes, very interesting. He started off by knowing the attainment of money and freedom through the mastery of mind is what Andrew Carnegie set him on the journey. He did it. The last breath, the last words he wrote was to leave in humanity the ultimate truth. One of the principles in Grow Rich with Peace of Mind is ultimately nothing matters. That was my favorite one. Ultimately, nothing matters. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what you achieve today, what you achieve tomorrow, what you achieved before, what you've done, what you haven't done, what you could have done, what you should have done, doesn't matter. And this is the truth that I think everyone in this human life should remember. When you die, all of it melts away. What you think, what you feel, what you remember, what you imagine, your name, your relationships, your family, legacy, money, everything you ever argued about that you're right about, everything you were ever wrong about, it all melts away. If you simply want to know, you just close your eyes. What do you see? You see nothing. That's death. If I plug your ears, what do you hear? You hear nothing. That's death. If I take out the part of your brain that allows you to feel feelings, you feel nothing. What is that? That's death. If I take your tongue where you can't taste anything or speak, what is that? That's death. So when you're dying, in this last breath, in that inch of a moment, you're going to realize what I'm saying right now. Your whole life wasn't real. The only thing was real is this moment right now. And when you die knowing that all of this melts away, tell me, can you live stressfully? Can you live it wrong? Because at the end, nothing is carried over. Your consciousness is going to be melted back and absorbed back into one with all of consciousness. In this way, look at it like this. If you're an orange, I'm an apple, he's a banana. All of us have very individual forms. You would say one is yellow, one is orange, one is red. They all taste different, they look different, they feel different, they're shaped different. I say, okay, this is what a human is. We're all different, individualistic. If I take all these fruits and add some water into a blender and I put it together and I start blending it up, what happens?
Becomes a smoothie.
It becomes a smoothie. Does it have any one distinct color? Multiple colors? Is there yellow in it? Is there red in it? Does it taste all like one of them only? See, all of the individualism that makes you different from another human being goes away, melts away. All of it becomes one thing. And it also becomes a very weird color, like a non-color, like this brownish thing, right? In this way, when you die, when all of us die, the body melts away, the mind melts away, the heart melts away, the thoughts melt away. The only thing left is the consciousness. The only thing that you ever were and you ever will be is the consciousness, the soul. But you will now be absorbed back into, just like a blender, back into the ocean of endless everything and nothingness, which is what God is. So you become one with God again when you die. So at death, you realize all of it melts away. So then if all of it melts away at death, and none of this stuff that makes me different than you, or makes you wrong, or me right, or he hurt me, or she's right, all of this melts away, then what's the first thing you think about? You go, okay, so if when I die, all of this melts away, none of this matters ultimately, then the only time I have is if I open my eyes and this is death, and I open my eyes, this is life. I can see everything, I can hear everything, I feel everything, I can see everything, I can taste everything. That's the miracle of life. Because if you go back to where you came from before this life, you're going back to everything and nothingness. You're going back to being what God is, being one with all of these things, which means you have no individual right or free will or freedom or distinction between choosing whether you want to feel fat or not be fat, or want to get that girl or not get that girl, or have money or be poor. You can't choose anymore. You are just one with all things, which is back to being where you came from, which is God. So then you go, wow, right now then is the only time I have to live this miracle called life. And suddenly you realize that life is so delicious. Because this moment right now, even if we're hot, the feet are hurting, the camera's burning out, we're talking too much, my mouth is dry, all of it is the experience of life.
Mm-hmm.
I have no more selection between what I like and don't like. I go everything I love. Because when I die, it all melts away. And so this, just remembering this, you will enjoy your life. There's no wrong way to live it. No wrong way, no matter what anyone says. So then you start living fully. Every small thing you maximize. I'm so tired. I've slept 3 hours last night because I was partying. You sit there, you go, wow, it feels so cool to be tired and underslept.
Mm-hmm.
Even that feeling, you're sitting there, you go, oh, so nice. You're starving. Some people rush to get food. I sit there sometimes with the hunger. I'm like, wow, look at my body. How many sensational things are happening with my body to tell me it needs food? And I just meditate on the feeling. Then you go, see, if you live to the ego is going to tell you, you need to eat, you're going to die. And so in that way, it takes you out of presence at all times. But because I'm not the ego anymore, ego is just serving me like a little puppy next to me. It's here right now. Then I get to sit down and I get to be hungry. I can enjoy being hungry more than people would enjoy eating the greatest steaks in the world.
With everything that you just said, I hope everyone's listened to that, because that was a recipe for removing any worries and to really tap into understanding that nothing is going to matter after all this done. The problems that you're going through right now, do you think it really is going to matter? No.
What are problems?
What are problems? A problem is only a problem if you consider it a problem.
Problem is very simple. Something's happening you don't want happening. But if you don't want anything not happening and you're accepting of all things always happening, are there problems? It's not even a tactic. You sit there and go, oh, I have a problem, but I'm learning from it, so it's a good thing. I'm not even doing that. I'm just saying, right now I'm hungry. Is it a problem? Yeah, if I want to be eating. Right now you're sitting. In this moment right now, can you be standing? Really?
No, I'm not saying. Oh, I thought you were literally asking me.
I am asking you. Right now you're sitting in this chair. In this moment right now, can you be standing? No, because you're sitting. Now, problem starts when you start going, I wish I was standing. Now suddenly sitting is a hell you've created for yourself because you don't want to be sitting.
Mm-hmm.
What is hell? Just a series of eternal things happening to you that you didn't want happening to you. I'm sure no one in this world wants to be burnt alive all the time, right? This idea. So then what would heaven be? That always things that you want is happening. This is false. Heaven is not the opposite of hell. Hell is the absence of heaven. We're only under the laws of wanting and not wanting things. See, if hell is always things not you want is happening to you, doesn't that mean you also have to know what you want? Which means the only wanting and not wanting thing is the only thing that creates existence to hell. If I'm a person who's so conscious, I'm just conscious and I'm accepting of all things at all times. I don't want something, I don't not want something, I don't like something, I don't not like something. Can there be a hell? You say, I'm burning you alive. I go, what a meditation. Sitting there, the sensations is crazy. I want it to stop. I don't want it to stop because I understand right now I can't be standing, I'm sitting.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm going through pain. I'm sitting with the pain. I'm with pain. That's what's happening. I wish I feel better. Right now I'm overweight. I want to try to lose the weight. No, I'm just overweight. Deal with the overweight. Naturally, you'll lose the weight because it'll be so consciously effortless to go and eat something healthy. But if you want to be overweight, maybe people like the food. You sit there, you go eat the food. Oh, so good. I'm not saying being unhealthy, being overweight, all this stuff is good. I'm just saying that if I don't want something, it's because I know what I want. And wanting something creates not wanting something, which means it creates the opportunity to have a hell happening for you. Like right now, you're going through suffering. I want to be standing. So then what's happened? It can't be the series of things you want happening. Or else in heaven, there'll be a lot of crazy shit happening. Wouldn't you agree?
Mm-hmm.
If you go into heaven, you'll see a bunch of naked women running around for some of the men because that's what they want. Someone else is doing blow. And so I love cocaine. What do you mean? That's what heaven is, right? So it can't be that heaven is a place where all of humanity individualistically are having the things they want for them. So then what could it be? Have you ever thought about this? If hell is the series of always things happening to me without my control or consent and not wanting it, but it's happening, I can't control it, is hell. Heaven can be the opposite, can't. Heaven doesn't govern itself with the laws of hell. Heaven, you say kingdom of heaven, that expands the universe. Heaven is right now in this moment. Right now in this moment, at all times, in this present consciousness, you are making decisions at all times, what to decide, what to think about, what to focus on, what to feel, all these things. What am I going to do next? What am I going to do about this? At every moment of your life, you're making choices because you're given free will. It is the nature of your humanity. And in that way, in every moment of life, you have the opportunity to recreate or re-break yourself over and over again. Now, if I choose a series of re-breaking ideas and thoughts and choices, am I not living in a hell? So in this way, I'm creating hell right now. It's an unconsciousness. Unconsciousness is hell, not a fiery pit. Unconsciousness is that you are mindless and you're spiritless, you're soulless because you're sitting there and you don't have any control or any knowledge or any form of consciousness of what's happening. And so that way, everything you don't want happening is happening to you. So you're creating a torturing, suffering idea for yourself. So then what's consciousness? That there is no difference. Not that there's only good. That good is bad too, because bad is a part of good. Good is just good and not good is good. So you go, okay, if I'm sitting here, I'm sitting here. That's awesome. It's not that I want to be sitting here, Armin. That's why I'm peaceful. Peace is not the achievement of desires. Peace is the absence. That way you can have a desire. It doesn't change your mood.
Mm-hmm.
I've had months, I used to teach this to the clients. I don't know if you remember those days. I go, whether you have $100,000 a month or you have a $0,000 a month, you should get enthusiastic you're living. And truly I lived that way a lot until I got caught up with it. So I got, no, I need to be making more. And then suddenly I wanted to be standing when I was sitting. Life started to go downhill. You go, Armin, but you need that to cheat. Really? Let me know how it goes for you. And when it doesn't, find me again. You'll realize the only real way to grow anything successfully in your life is to not want to. When I went back after my retirement to my business, I was confused with God. I'm like, God, why would you put me back in the business? I was ready to leave this stuff behind.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard it so clearly. He goes, now that you don't need to do good, you can do great.
That's deep.
And that way I didn't come back on my own terms. I even tell my team, I'm like, I'm not here because I want to be. I'm here because I'm instructed to be. I'm not here because this is my company. It's not. I'm here because God needs me to be here as I'm supposed to be here. So whatever you need, you let me know. And in that way, business has become 100,000 times easier. My life has become a drink of water on all times because nothing is a problem. Because there is no such thing. I'm always sitting, and if I'm sitting, I'm sitting. If I'm standing, I'm standing. And I don't have an egotistical opinion about which one is right. So I'm liberated from all the games that we play with ourselves that create suffering inside. So I can then do all these things with greatness. I can create better trainings, coach people better, teach people better, because I have no reaction, no aggression, no frustration. I'm still very intense because when I'm passionate, it's a part of my presence. When I know I want to do something and teach someone, that's how I am. I'm not saying I'm always zen out. Again, you need an ego to do, but I'm conscious now. I'm not the ego. I'm also not afraid of what it does for people because they might be like, oh, you shouldn't be like this. Before I used to call what that matters to me. Now I say, oh, you're just experiencing not liking something I am. That's cool too. There's no stress in my life, man.
Now, let's say when everybody that's listening to this right now, let's just say they tap into that oneness that we've been speaking about this entire time. I guess the golden question here is, how do you manifest what you want in life?
You really want to know the answer?
They want to know. You guys want to know, right?
Manifestation is not something you do. It's what you are. My life in this moment, the miracle of it, the human experience, is a never-ending tunnel of manifestation. Right now in this moment, your hair, your nails, your eyes, your skin, they're evolving, they're growing right now. If you walk outside, if you had a very still eye, you can see all of the nature is growing too. If you get a microscope, you can see the cells itself are growing itself right now in this moment. It's not only when you notice it after some time. All of existence is always manifesting in its own way. It is evolving and morphing into something more that is expanding. Manifestation in that sense. When we connect it with the idea of desire, which is how everyone wants to think of manifestation, not as that is the truth of living and existence, but rather how can I use it for me, which is fair. Ego wants this, yeah? Mm-hmm. How do I use the laws of nature to get what things I want in my life? No problem. I'll tell you. First, you realize you are manifestation. So don't think some form of practice is going to help you do it. You sit there and you go, I visualize everything. Okay, this is a part of it, sure. That's not why it's manifesting. You go, but I'm feeling things. Okay, no problem. It's not a practice though. When we make this sound this way, you know what happens, Quan? People start to think that when they're not doing those things, they're not manifesting. Isn't that a flawed idea? You know this. If I'm not manifesting, am I still manifesting? If I'm sitting down there and I'm not visualizing what I want, am I not still getting something that I'm somehow visualizing without even any consciousness? So you're either choosing what you're manifesting or you're getting what you're not choosing what you're manifesting. That's it. At all times, though, there is a vibrational radiance, like a pulse, in the center of all existence that is pushing out from the center core out to the expanse, something to bring back. It's like a boomerang this way. So first we realize we are manifestation. Your living is the present proof. Things are manifesting. To marry the idea of manifestation then with desire, which is an element aside from manifestation, the desire component of life, you need to understand what desire is. Some people say desire is wanting something. Okay. Well, so how do you do desire right? A lot of people ask Sadhguru this. So we have to control our desires. Okay, try to control your desire. Right now, I don't let you pee for the next 24 hours. You really have to pee. You're desiring to go let it release. Tell me, how much can you control this desire? You can't. Eventually, you'll have to succumb to the desire. So you can't control a desire. You sit there, you go, you need to have the right desires, right and wrong desires. There's such a thing. We've talked about this already. So that's not the answer. We have to become detached from desires. Become a Buddhist. Okay. So unless you're living in the wilderness with nothing, can you really detach? And even then, are you detached? If you need to go to the washroom, is it not some form of desire pulling your body out with the sensation to want you to go and take a shit? I'm sure the Buddhists took shits too, right? Okay, so let's be clear. It's not that he was detached from desire. It's that he was detached from material desires. Desire was still everlasting in the person's body. Desire is the source of all of things happening all the time. Without any desire, nothing would move. An ant has a desire to survive, so it goes from this place to that place. Plant has a desire to expand, so what does it do? It keeps growing. It eats from the sunlight, it drinks from the water. Manifestation is the thing that was happening. At the core of it is what? Desire for something to expand. So we have to understand desire cannot be controlled. It cannot be right or wrong, organized. It cannot be minimized. I got to desire little. It cannot be maximum. I got to desire a lot. See, if I tell you let's desire to run the world. Okay, you go to own the world. Eventually, you're going to want to own Mars too. You own Mars, you're going to say, how can I conquer the sun? This is the nature of desire to want not everything, not to want a lot, but to want everything. So nature of desire is not that I want something. It's not even that I want a lot of things. Because if I give you $1 million, you say, give me 10 million. If I give you 10, give me $1 billion. What is it at? It's not that you want more. It's not that you want a lot. It's that you want all. Desire is that. The sensation of desire is that you want it all. This is not ego. But a form of ego needs to be created in order to achieve something with that desire. Desire itself is a pulse of life. So you say, so how do I manifest my desires? First, you realize you're always desiring. Second, you realize there's no end to this desiring. Third, you realize manifestation is the scientific process of what is happening from the desire. So I want some money. I go, great. I start to fill the mind with the money. I start to fill my actions with the money. And all I think about is this money, because that is the nature of the mechanisms we've been given. This is how we go towards doing something. Now, it's not even about sitting there just visualizing, because it's one aspect. Emotionalizing probably is the most important part of this. Emotionalizing what you visualize, not just thinking about it, but feeling it. Why? Because in this present moment where everything is real and nothing else exists, if the radiance coming out of you is the emotion of excitement, you can't feel money. But tell me this, will a depressed person make less money than a person who's very enthusiastic in life? Of course. Enthusiastic person will go out and learn skills that make money, right? Depressed person will sit there and be like, I wish it would happen to me, I'm a victim. So then in that case, just the emotionalization of what you want is only for the purpose to fill this body in this moment with sensations that make you do something about it. You are creating in that way. Sometimes things happen to you too. You walk on the street, some guy, oh, are you that guy? And that happens. These are in coexistence with the things that you're doing. But if you never do anything, how can you, if there's no stimulus, how can there be a response? If you never leave your house and you sit there and think, you think it's going to come to you? People are perverting manifestation and desire. But first we must understand that you desire, the nature of desire is to want everything, because that's what God is. God is expansive. God is always expanding. The universe itself is always expanding. It's the nature of existence that desire is the sensation of expansion. So as a human being, we sit there, of course, the easier to want things is by having nothing. By you giving less. So those ones have the highest emotional drive, the highest sensational drive to take an action towards getting things in life. If someone has a little bit of things, they're comfortable, sensations are more mild. So the real key is this, how you manifest. Increase the intensity of your presence. So you're fully present intensely with the desire for wanting something. And then naturally you become into the flow like nature. You become into the flow of it. If you need to learn a skill, you will learn the skill. Now it doesn't feel like hard work, does it, Quan? If I know I can liberate my family by making $1 million and I have to learn sales to do that, tell me, is any moment you spend learning sales a hard thing to do? You need to bring the intensity of your presence up right now so that you can do something with this energy. And that's why, a lot of Napoleon, even Bob Proctor, like a lot of these guys say the secret is action. I know it sounds so simple or dumb, but now I'm explaining to you hopefully in a spiritual scientific sense why. Because action is the embodiment of full presenceness in this moment for one definite goal in your mind. And so you start to go into the motion of what nature and life and existence is running on, which is the law of doing something. It's the expansiveness. So it's this is why we also teach in Think and Grow Rich. It's not the getting the goal that's why you want to set a goal. It's who you become in the process. Jim Rohn used to say this very nicely. $1 million doesn't make you a millionaire. It's who you become in the process of making $1 million that makes you a millionaire. So in this way, you look at desire, you go, whatever you want in your life right now, first of all, set it in your mind, no problem. I want this. And make sure it's very emotional, because without the intensity of emotion, there's no intensity of presence in your body that makes you feel good about living right now to get it. Therefore, you won't have a lot of drive to do much. Second thing is, I don't want you to think about the getting it. Some people go, they meditate on the end in mind. Oh, imagine you have it. Yeah. Do you know why they do this? Not because the getting it or having it is important, but because if I am experiencing right now what it feels like, what is happening in my right now where life is existing, where the only thing that is existing in this right now, this life is becoming very delicious right now. In this way, isn't it proper to say that the only purpose for desire should be to make your right now more beautiful? So in this way, think about it. Someone's sister goes, I have this goal, I'm stressed out. I go, bro, you're doing it opposite. You're not supposed to set goals that stress you right now. You're supposed to set goals that inspire you right now, make you feel good about what you're doing. Your life has meaning and right now feels good. You don't set a goal for what it's going to do you in some non-realistic future. It's not coming. Next week doesn't exist. Next week is still going to be right now. And so right now, if you're not happy until you have something, until your circumstances change outside of you, you're ultimately fooling yourself. This is living the illusion of material wealth. So we want to set the goal. We go, I want this thing. And then you meditate deliciously on why you want this thing so good. And then naturally, as you sit there in the beauty of it, you go, what do I want to do about it first? And this is the progression in Think and Grow Rich. We teach this. Desire or a wish, just a simple desire on its own, is just a wish.
Mm-hmm.
When you add some action to it, do something about it, anything about it becomes a burning desire. So I'm sitting out feeling so excited. Have you ever just sat there and you're like, I really have this idea of a good piece of content. You're like, bro, I can't even wait. I'm going to make it. This is how all goals in life should be, especially with money too. Or else the point of the money is very empty to make it. So you sit there and every day, I remember I used to tell myself, like, I'm going to be a millionaire, making less money. And it's because in the moment I woke up, I had purpose. From the moment my eyes opened, I had purpose. Armin had purpose. There was something I was doing every day. It made me clear. It made me know what I was going to do. It made me feel good about who I was. My whole life was delicious because of this. I just still thought I was all those things. Now I realize I'm not. This only thing's changed. I go, oh, Armin's doing pretty good. So when you sit there, you go, okay, right now has to be beautiful with the goal I set. So automatically, if your goal is to make you feel good right now, you have to change this goal because you're just hurting yourself. You want to change it to something that makes you go, I'm really excited about being alive right now to work towards this. Naturally, if it bubbles up the desire, you're going to want to do something. It's going to be very hard. I put a really nice, beautiful sandwich in front of you and you're starving. But I'm going to have to hold you back from how much you're going to run towards that thing to eat it. So you want these goals to feel delicious in that sense, or juicy, you would say. And so then you start working towards it, and you'll start to realize you don't need discipline, you don't need sacrifice, you don't need hard work, you don't need any of these things that people preach to you. Because is it hard work to drink some water on a hot summer's day when you're sweating? Is it hard work to eat a nice, lofty meal when you're hungry? Do you look at this as hard work? Do you go, oh, I'm working so hard, my mouth is chewing, look at all this effort? Or do you just sacrifice things? These are all just nonsense, man. These are just ideas, intellectual constructs we made in our mind, so everyone can decide to have their own version of what they want to teach you. If you just remove my version, your version, we come down to simple truth. What is hard about living? Absolutely fucking nothing. There's nothing hard about living. Only thing is hard is living in a situation in your head. Presence is not hard. Presence doesn't realize difficulty. It's not easy either because it's none of it. Presence is the truth of existence. Presence is I'm sitting here right now. The only thing that's real is right now in this presence. Everything else is just a shadow. Nothing's hard. And don't tell me the deliciousness of desire is hard. They say it in different ways. They'll say, you got to want it bad. But is it bad enough? Just want it. Genuinely actually wanting something. No one needs to convince you to do it. Right? You really want, you ever meet a girl you like her so much? No one has to convince you to go get it. Even if you're dying out of your heart's beating, you still walk up and you say hi. If you really want something, action is a byproduct, an effortless consequence of what happens. And if you really love the thing you're wanting and you're enjoying it presently, massive action becomes an obvious option. You don't take light action when you're very excited about something. People need to be thinking less about how they're being as a person, what routines they're running, how to have discipline, how to force themselves against the odds. They need to be much more meditating in stillness and bringing their awareness to genuinely, sincerely wanting something. Because at the core of wanting it, you just get to work. And work just is life now. Not that your job is life. The working towards of something is life itself. And then one day you look back and go, oh, I have it. I completely didn't notice. Because I was so in love with the process of getting there. Mm-hmm. And even having it doesn't make a difference because you still don't want another thing. Like, just set another goal so they have an excuse to keep going. See, if you're in a car and you're driving through beautiful scenery, wouldn't you be sad if you get to the city you were trying to get to? If you're having a great conversation in the car with a bunch of friends, listening to great music, wouldn't you be sad when you arrive? I've had that before. You think about it. You go, man, I wish this road trip was a day longer. Life is a road trip. The only place you're getting to is death. But in the meantime, you can have some temporary destinations too, which is also a form of death. It's the ending of something.
Mm-hmm. Your old self, to a certain degree.
Your old life. To me, man, I never want to arrive anywhere. I don't care about goals. I just want to be in love with what I'm doing. If I need to have a goal to make sure I'm doing something meaningful towards some end result, like towards some building something, then that's the only reason I'll have it. The goal doesn't define me anymore, and it used to. My life was about what I want. If I wanted that thing, I need to be able to do these things, be this way, say these things, have these skills. This is another way of living. Nothing wrong with this. But for me, my life is just happening all the time right now. And the natural consequence of it is there's people around me that want things, and I can help them get it. So for me, it seems very obvious to help them get it. And that way, there is goal is my goal too. But only because it's a part of the deliciousness of life happening right now for me. Which also means I would never do anything for anything other than what it makes me feel like right now. Doesn't mean if it feels hard. You know, people say logic over feelings. This is absolutely nonsense. Your life is your feelings, not your logic. If I open up your mind like a surgeon and I cut out the brain, the part of the brain that makes you feel any sensations, you would live perfectly, wouldn't you? You'd wake up, you don't feel hungry, you don't not feel hungry, so you only eat what you need, like a machine. You go and get to work, you don't sleep because you don't know what it feels like to be tired. Tell me, is life perfect? Now that you succeed? Because technically, with the absence of feeling, all of the things you're doing is you just do. No resistance, no nothing, no intelligence towards what you're doing. You're just doing it. So you'll get everything you set your mind to. But is it worth it now? What's your life feel like? Oh, you want to know?
Mm-hmm.
So my point is emphasis on the sensations and the feelings of life. A very minority emphasis on the intellect that helps you get there, the logic, the discipline. These are all part of life too, but I'm saying the nonsense that this is the only way. There are people, bro, that just float their way to success, what you would call it. In fact, meet a few billionaires. These guys don't operate in the same laws that the millionaires operate. They operate in a very effortless way because they understand the truth, not because they have $1 billion, because it takes a high level of emotional and spiritual intelligence inside of a person to get to that level of that much responsibility, that much work, that much people, that much delegation. You have to evolve as a human being. Doesn't mean every billionaire is this way, but a lot of them. You meet them, you hear them talk in interviews, you go, this guy knows something that just a hardworking millionaire doesn't. And it's that. It's that the truth of life is nothing is really hard. So what is there to be stressed about? And there's the entire faction of the world would go, stress is why I work hard. Stress is how I get success. I used to believe that too. I pray for those people, man. There's a better way. I'll say it this way. There's only one way. It's through consciousness, through presence. Everything else is but a shadow. And no different than Plato's cave. Humanity is sitting inside the cave, pointing at things, walking by through the reflection of the flames. At some point you have to get up and realize they're just figures on the wall. There's real life happening outside this cave that you can feel and touch and see, be with. So make your goals like a song that you never want to stop dancing to. You don't rush to the end of a song when you're dancing and you love it. You hope this song can go on forever. So dance. Just let your goals be different songs you dance to. Enjoy the dancing. Stop trying to rush to the end. It's not a competition.
So just dance.
Just dance.
I think that's a beautiful way to end off this podcast, man. It's been an amazing pleasure having you here. And before we end it off, man, I just want to acknowledge you for all the impact that you have created and for more of the impact that you will be creating just upon anybody in the lives that you touch. I will leave all of his information, everything that you need to do in order to follow and connect with this guy down in the description below. Comment down below what you want to solve in your life, or perhaps who you like to become, because essentially we don't manifest what we want, we manifest who we are. So I hope you guys are loving the juice, because it was a super juicy video. And don't forget to like, comment whatever you would like, and subscribe so you don't miss out on the new videos. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.